What's going on, people? This is a video I'm probably going to title something like The Joy of Owning Multiple Vehicles. And I was sitting here cleaning this Toyota that I just bought and kind of going back over my board here. You can tell that I am a type A person if you see that. And yeah, I was thinking about some things and I thought it'd be worth throwing this out because I've got almost 4,000 subscribers at this point, and I never started this channel to get subscribers. That was never the goal. I just was having fun documenting some things that I enjoy doing. And but anyhow, I get a lot of comments. I've made a lot of friends, and I thought, I had some thoughts worth sharing. So I'll try to keep this under 10 minutes. But yeah, I was just thinking about owning multiple vehicles because it seems that I now own 6 vehicles, and I am blessed that I can do that and have space to put these cars. And if you watch my channel, I've always got cars coming and going. I think I've sold 8 cars in the last 3 years. I'm not a dealer. I just buy cars for fun, fix them. I find things I enjoy and then end up selling them. And then I've kind of ended up with a bunch now. I've got kind of a vehicle for every occasion. Like I said, I'm cleaning up this Toyota. I'd only owned it a couple of weeks, and just had some thoughts as I was kind of looking at the different cars. And my truck is actually not here. We've got another guy back here getting a little bit of airing out. Noticed it smelled a little musty. I probably have a very small leak in this guy, so just letting him air out a little bit in the sun before I put the cover back on it. But yeah, so I'm going to talk about just a few things I jotted down. Why would you want to own a bunch of cars? Talk about patience. I'm going to talk about variety. I'm going to talk about costs of owning a bunch of cars. I'm going to talk about research. I'm going to talk about space, and then I'll talk about happiness, all in 10 minutes or less, hopefully. Here we go. Why would you want to do this? I got into cars. My dad, when I was a little kid, he always had Car and Driver magazines around, and I remember when the Mitsubishi GT 3000 VR4 came out, he was going to buy one. He didn't, but he ended up getting a Plymouth Laser RS Turbo instead, which is a really cool car, actually. And but he had a Miata, and he had a couple other things that were interesting. And it got me as a little kid, growing up. It was boxing and cars was what my dad always did. And my dad has passed away. He died in an accident a few years back, but his love for cars is something that just stuck with me. So I just started reading the Car and Drivers, and I remember when the GMC Typhoon came out, and the Sentra SER, and the 323 GTX, the Mazda, and just all the cool, weird cars. And it just got me to the point where when I started driving, I, kind of just more than just an appliance. It was something that I wanted to do. So as I've gotten older, I've gotten into to the point where, I can spend my time. I got 4 kids, and 3 of them are gone. They're in the Air Force. I'll be 50 in a few months, and I have the time, have money, which I'll talk about to do this. Which, by the way, this doesn't. The truth is that car, that CRX, that Insight, and the truck I have all cost less combined than that Mazda did. So it's not as much money as you'd think, but I'll get to that. But yeah, I'm just at the point where hobbies are really important to me more than ever. I have the time, and I have the space in my mind, and I have the freedom to do this. So, I just tell you, if you're watching this, find something you love and do it. And if it's cars, work your way up. I'm almost 50, so, you don't just do this when you're 20, unless you're Kyle from the Boosted Boys. He can do this, but most of us can't, and that's okay. Like, take your time. I never had more than one car until I was about 40. And that's when I kind of started getting into these different cars. So yeah, just hobby. That's the why. And I'd encourage you, if you like cars, pursue it. Get more than one. It's really nice having more than one car. The cost or the patience is the next thing I want to talk about. And I'm just going to say this: with all these cars, I've never made a ton of money. I just a few years ago jumped above like the average American income. So I'm in a profession where I don't make a ton of money. So you might think, well, gosh, you're lucky. How do you afford, all these things? And the thing is patience, guys. Patience. All these cars, I own all of them. I'm debt free in terms of these vehicles. And, so how did you do that? Well, I was patient. I drove a $500 Volvo, like all the way into my 30s. And I've pretty much always had a $2,000 or $3,000 car until I got to my mid-30s, early 40s, and I started getting nicer things. This Fiesta was $19,000 7 years ago. That was like my first big purchase for myself. And I'll say this too, like I always give my wife the nice car. So that's a Mazda CX-9. It's a pretty great car. I always give her the nice one, the reliable one, the one that has full coverage. And, it's, she's going to have the better car always. So when I say better, I don't mean more fun, but I just mean the one that's reliable and, has the better features and stuff, and working air and isn't leaking. All these cars have little problems. Well, that one doesn't, but everything else does. So you just got to be patient. And for me, I pay for I pay for things cash. So like this car I just bought, I bought this car cash. In fact, like if you look back at my channel, I've been able to make side money from these cars. So like I had a Mini Cooper that I got for literally, after I sold the exhaust off it, I paid $125 for it. And I put about $700 of work and, a lot of $700 of parts and a lot of work. And I sold that for $3,800. So I made about three grand on that car, profit. And several other cars. Again, if you look at my channel, you'll see, if you're in the right place at the right time, you find a deal, get it, clean it up, sell it, fix it, sell it. And, so for me, like that car and that car were free. And again, I'm not saying this to be boastful or anything. It's just like the money I've made from other cars that I've bought and sold, the profit it paid completely for these two cars. So, find something you like doing. I've made these CRX personal boxes. You've probably seen my channel, if you're a subscriber or whatever, and you see where I've made these personal boxes and, for CRXs, and that's been a little money maker. And, just little side things that you do. I detail people's cars. People see my cars and they're like, hey, will you detail mine? Your cars are always clean. I'm like, sure, I'll do it for $100 or, $80 or, just whatever. And, you make money and you save the cash, and then you buy everything cash. Buy it cash. Don't get into debt on cars. Trust me. Do not get into debt on mods. Don't do it. So just be patient. Next thing is just interesting. Just find, I'd say, like, if you're getting into multiple cars, like find interesting stuff. Like for me, this Fiesta, it's a great little turbocharged car. This is a high revving, Toyota that can carry a lot of people. This is an interesting, quirky, weird hybrid. I got a big truck that I haul stuff in, and then you just saw behind there, it's a CRX, so that's kind of the old vintage car. And just get interesting stuff. Like you don't want just 3 Mustangs. I mean, maybe you do, like if you got all the different era Mustangs, that might be cool. But I'd say like get something interesting. For me, that's been like really interesting. Like this car, this XRS, I remember reading about this in Car and Driver back in like 04, 05. So it's 17 years ago. And so like I found one, like the time came, I was itching to buy something, and I it's like, hey, why not? So I started looking, and I looked at a whole bunch of them and finally found one in good shape. So it's just research, patience. I drove a bunch of these before I bought that one. I wanted this car for 3 years. 3 years. I waited for 3 years to find the right Fiesta ST. Same with that. When those came out, I researched them, and we had a minivan, and I knew that the time was coming that we'd get rid of the minivan eventually when our kids started moving out. So I just did a ton of research, went and test drove one when they were brand new. And then about 3 years later, like the time came to buy, saved up my money, and, I knew I wanted it. I had driven all the other stuff, that was comparable, and this was the one that I wanted. So, it took patience. That took a lot of work. I had to drive to the coast to get that, that required a day off, a friend, a dolly, risk, so patience. So ongoing costs, insurance you might think is crazy, but for me, being older, it's not. So each car you have, you get multiple car discounts. So, and then really the only thing is just, making sure everything's got fresh oil and good tires. But, once you pay for all that once, you're kind of done. Like, as you can imagine, I don't drive each of these cars very often. Each one gets driven like 1 day a week. So, it's like once you get the tires and you do the oil change, I mean, you just don't have to change the oil for a while, unless you give enough time that goes by. Let me try to cut this a little shorter because we're kind of I'm going to be over 10 minutes, but that's okay. Just a few other quick things I thought were worth mentioning. Like I said, research what you want. So again, waited 3 years on that, waited 3 years on that. When I went to the coast to buy this, this was Dolly. It wasn't running when I bought it, so I did a whole bunch of research. I asked a whole bunch of questions, and if the person won't answer your questions, or if they're, one-word answers from Facebook Marketplace, then that's not the right car for you. That's just the bottom line. I had to drive to another city to get that because my local dealer wouldn't give me the price I wanted. So I was patient and told the dealer no. Actually told the dealer at the other city no because they wouldn't give me the price I wanted, and hung up the phone. And then about 20 seconds later, the lady called me and said, "Oh, actually, we can do what you want." So, you just got to do your research. And, same with this. I drove, this was 11 hours round trip to get this car. And you better believe I asked a bunch of questions, a bunch of pictures. And, if they won't give you the pictures and ask the questions, hang up the phone and keep looking, because there are more fish in the sea. And you don't want to waste your time. Trust me, I've done that one. Final thing I'll say here is space. Obviously, I don't have enough space for these cars. I'm working on that. It's a bad time to buy a house. We're trying to move out of this big house and get something smaller with a garage where I can, have cars. So that's a plan. One day I'd love to have a big garage or hangar like some, YouTubers have. But, that costs money. But we're hoping to find something at some point. So just waiting on that. And the last thing I'll say is just happiness. I just want to say this as I close. The cars won't make you happy, guys. I think it was George Bernard Shaw. He said there's two great tragedies in life. One is not getting what you want, and the other is getting it. And, so for me, this is fun. Like, it's something fun. It's, my little brother who passed away not long ago. He always used to say, he'd see all my cars coming in and out, and he'd say, well, it's better than cocaine and hookers. And, it's like, it is something fun that you do. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many cars, money, women, drugs. I mean, it doesn't matter what you have. It's not going to make you happy. It's going to make you happy for a day or a week or a month. But eventually, at the end of the day, nothing, I don't think, in this life is going to satisfy us. These are things that help us enjoy life, certainly. But ultimately, I think you got to go into this kind of hobby realizing, like, this is fun, but there's other things in life that are way more important. And I personally happen to believe that is Jesus. Is the only thing that can satisfy a person, that you won't wake up wondering what your life is about. You'll know what your life is about. You'll know that you have value. You'll know that you have purpose and that you're loved. And so these things are peripheral. They're fun. They're conversation starters. They get you through the day. But, you can't find your happiness in a woman, in a drug, in a career, in a car, in a house, anything. It's just not possible. I've been alive almost 50 years, and I've been blessed. I have a wonderful life. And if all these cars fell into the ocean tomorrow, I'd be fine, because it's not about this. And I think when you let go and you hold on loosely to things, people, friends, cars, money, I think you enjoy them more, because your happiness is not attached to those things. So anyhow, we're at 13 minutes. That's my thoughts on the joy of owning multiple vehicles. I would love to hear your thoughts on this too. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace to you. Later.